Good afternoon. My name is Darren Long. I teach ICT in Gowton School, Swansea. Gowton School has been using Google Apps since around 2006, so I'm going to try and do over the next sort of 10-15 minutes, give you an insight into what we've been doing over the last few years, and hopefully share some practice with you and hopefully learn from you as well. I'm about for an hour or so after the presentation, so if anybody wants to come and have a chat, please do so. In case nobody's aware of Google Apps, it's a cloud-based collaboration platform. It does require the internet. Now, one of the things people tend to ask me is, do you require high-speed broadband? And ideally, high-speed broadband would be better. But realistically, I've used it using 3G on a train coming up to London. It's not a big deal if you have slow internet access. Ideally, broadband, high-speed, reliable access. I think reliability is the key rather than speed with your internet access. It's a free platform. Now, I don't think many people can stand in front of you and recommend something for another company such as Google, because I have no association with Google other than I use Google Apps within my school. If there was a charge associated, but it's free, the maintenance is free, the implementation is free of charge. It integrates with other platforms. Now, we use SharePoint for our collaboration platform, in addition to using Google Apps. Those of you using Moodle, you can have single sign-on using Moodle, and it works with other platforms because it's HTML based. One of the key things for me within my school is the collaboration between pupils. The way in which Google Apps works, and Google Docs in particular, and Drive, there's no other product on the market which is free of charge, which works as simplistically and as easily for students as Google Docs. I've got a few examples which I'll show you over the next few slides. Again, anytime, anywhere access. Now, one of the key things for me is that pupils don't have access, or not all pupils have access to the same learning materials and the same software. Now, bridging the digital divide is something that is a bit of a challenge for all schools, and being able to offer Google Apps enables all learners, irrespective of the hardware, software, or financial background the pupils are coming from. As long as they have access to the internet, they have the same learning opportunities as the people sitting next to them. And the other thing is it's fully customizable. So what you could do is you could offer certain apps or certain features to certain year groups or certain LEAs or certain departments. It's up to the schools really, and up to people how they implement Google Apps. Now, when we started using Google Apps back in 2006, Google Apps was just mail for your domain. The reason we went down this route is we had a Microsoft Exchange server that I was in charge of. It broke. We had to replace it, and I thought it would be a good idea to go down the cloud-based route. Since then, more and more Google Apps have been integrated within Google Apps. So we have Blogger, for example. We have YouTube. We have Google Checkout, Picasa Web Albums. And again, the key thing for us is both Mail and Google Docs. Google Docs, irrespective of the hardware and software in front of you, allows you to use word processing, spreadsheet, and presentation software all in the cloud. Again, it being HTML based, so you don't need to install any software on your computers or on your tablets or anything else. It's all web based. So what we have is just a little video here of a pupil logging into the school website. This shows just the pupils using their own devices or netbooks or whatever it is, and being able to collaborate 24/7 with the cloud. Now, this particular video is showing a pupil creating a word process document without any software. As long as they have access to the internet and have access to a web browser, they can basically do cross-curricular ICT activities. I think everybody's familiar with the big three, but all using the web browser. This is a presentation our digital leaders produced. This is a screen grab of those pupils working on it at the same time. Now, what's unique with Google presentations is that it's not just one pupil working on this. There are many pupils working on it at the same time. And one of the key things for me as a teacher is I can roll back revision histories or look at every click and every way each pupil has contributed to this one document. It's simple to use, and it's available from anywhere. I don't think there's anything quite like this on the market, and again, it's free of charge. This is something I've produced as an ICT teacher. if anybody teaches ICT for GCSE, they'll be familiar with data and quality of data. What we've done, as it integrates with other platforms, is we've produced forms to gather feedback from our pupils. So what we've done here is just given the pupils an opportunity to have a voice and speak to the teachers and tell them how they would change the topic in the future. So it gives them assessment for learning opportunities. So it gives them the opportunity there to speak about how much they've learned and how well they think they've achieved. But then the opportunity towards the bottom then to give us feedback as teachers so we can change the course for future years. Now, you can do this with other software packages, but this is all cloud-based, and it's just a hyperlink which you could be emailed out or embedded onto Moodle. But one of the key things for me, I don't have to really do much. Once I've posted that link out to my pupils, my responses automatically gather. Another way we've used forms within Google Docs is by engaging transition pupils. So when year 6 kids come up to comprehensive school, we give them the opportunity to tell us what they think and if there's anything in particular they didn't like. Now, one of the things we always notice with year 6 kids coming up to year 7 is they're always quite fearful about the size of our school because they come up from a learning environment which has perhaps 100 pupils, 5 or 6 teachers maybe. They come up to a secondary school and find they've got 1,200 peers to deal with and many, many teachers. Now, what we can do is post that to parents, post the results then to the departments. We can look at different ways in which we can tackle what the pupils are telling us. And it really gives the students a pupil voice. This is something that might have been a little bit cutting edge a few years ago with Google Docs, but it may be just bread and butter stuff to everybody now. Historically, we've had a file server within the school with subfolders and permissions to those folders. So, for example, we may have a shared drive with the departments, much like the one we have here, where the art department, say, have full permissions or full read and write access to that folder. What we've tried to do is replicate that setup with Google Docs. So I own the curriculum folder, and what I've done is set up individual departmental folders within that folder and set permissions on those folders. And one of the unique things with Google Apps is it inherits the sharing permissions. So for example, if I look at business studies, I've shared that with a business study teacher, and all the business study teacher needs to do is drag and drop Google Docs within that folder, and it automatically inherits shared permissions. So the pupils automatically are able to read any documents that are within that folder. So really speaking, this sort of way of moving away from a server system within a school and moving things to the cloud. Because irrespective of how well an LEA is funded or how well a school is funded, I don't think anybody has as deep a pockets as Google do. And they offered 99.9% guaranteed uptime with any of the docs. I don't think you'll find an LEA that can offer that sort of service, again, free of charge. Back in our inspection report, one of the things Estin Inspector said is we're particularly good with engaging our community. And this is one way in which we're doing so with Google Docs, or Google Apps, sorry. What we've done historically is produce sports report for the school and print them out and post them throughout the school on notice boards. We still do that because people like to read them. But what we've done is, in addition to that, we've created a school blog for sports and tours activities. So all of this information is posted by our sports department onto Blogger. Now, Blogger is one of the apps offered by Google. So once you're signed into Google Apps, you also get access to Blogger accounts as well. Now, you could go away and set up individual Blogger accounts, but that's management for the school. And I think it's difficult to track usernames and passwords if you had 1,200 separate accounts with different sort of set up usernames and passwords. It's really difficult to manage, but if you were to use Google Apps, you can integrate all of that within the platform. I don't look after it. The only thing I did do is make it look a little bit like Gowerton School by using a custom theme. But our sports department look after that. The pupils moderate comments, the parents comment. Is something less for me to look after. There are a few different implementation options you could go for if you were to sign up for Google Apps. One way is to set up a completely different domain. So our domain is gowerton.swansea.sch.uk. Now you could set up gowerton.org.uk and have a totally independent setup. You could do that. You could go for a subdomain setup. So if your domain is gowerton.swansea.sch.uk, you could have a subdomain called pupils. What you could do is offer different services for the pupils within that domain. So that leaves your email and leaves all your core services with whoever you're with at the moment, but gives the pupils an opportunity then to get on board and try using Google Apps, perhaps targeting digital leaders. You could go down the full migration route. This is probably the biggest headache of all the implementation options. Not to say that it's not possible. There are tools available from Google which can pull all data from your Exchange or Lotus environment and migrate them to Google. It is possible, you can do it, but I think the parallel option is the most likely for people to use. The reason being, you could all set this up tomorrow and start running it for your pupils on Monday morning. Now, you couldn't do that with a full LEA migration, for example, but you could do it with a parallel setup. What you could do, if you use gowerton.swansea.sch.uk, for example, you could set that up with Google, but instead of migrating all your email and all of your data, you could opt in to selected services. You could think, well, I could use the productivity suite, Google Docs and Google Drive, and I could use Blogger, and I could use YouTube, but leave my email where it is at the moment, because migrating that could be a bit of a task for you. There is a synchronization tool available as well for Google Docs, Google Apps, sorry, and Active Directory. So what you could do is run on your workstation or your server the synchronization tool to pull all of your user information and automatically send it to Google Apps. One of the benefits of using the synchronization tool is this is a print screen of my, my dashboard with Google Apps, the administrative console. And what I've done is taken my organizational units, for those of you who use Active Directory, and replicated that structure within Google Apps. Now, what I can choose to do is offer some services to some pupils and some more services, I would say, to staff. So I've given staff the opportunity to sign into YouTube and Google Talk, for example. Now, those two services I've chosen not to offer to pupils, even though I have some pupils, which you'll see under the Y09 on the left-hand side there, a smaller group where I've offered them more services, like Google Plus, for example. It allows them to test things for me and give me feedback. I think that's probably the best way of doing it. You could all sign up to Google Apps, and you could all opt into certain services. That's the address you need to sign up to Google Apps. It's free of charge, and it's something you could do, and offer this sort of Monday morning, and really let it grow organically, rather than taking it at an LEA level, which I think is quite difficult to do, or a national level even. I think everybody could sign up their school with Google Apps using their existing domain and opt into certain services and let it grow, really. I'm around for the next sort of hour. If anybody wants to come and chat and share experiences with me, please do so. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day.